All right, let's get into it. We're talking about Stanley Kubrick's very last film, Eyes Wide Shut. And trust me, it's a cryptic, hypnotic, and honestly a deeply unsettling journey into the shadows of a marriage. It's a puzzle that, even all these years later, we're still trying to piece together.
And here's what makes this film so haunting. It wasn't just another movie for him. This was his final statement. Kubrick literally delivered his final cut of the film to the studio, and then just 6 days later, he passed away, leaving the entire world with this ultimate cinematic puzzle box.
And you gotta understand, this wasn't some last-minute idea that just popped into his head. Oh no. This was a story that had been brewing in Kubrick's mind for decades. It was a true passion project that he obsessed over right up until the very end.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It's kind of nuts. Kubrick first got the rights to the book it's based on, Dream Story, way back in the 1960s. But the project just sat there until the 90s. Then filming starts in 96, and it all comes to a head in March of 1999 when he hands in his cut, and then he's done. A whole lifetime of thought poured into one final, mysterious film.
So what's the story that had him so hooked for all those years? Well, it all kicks off not with some big dramatic event, but with a quiet, devastating confession that starts to unravel a seemingly perfect life from the inside out.
So let's meet our couple, Dr. Bill Harford and his wife Alice. On the surface, they've got it all. But Bill has this, well, let's call it a very traditional view. He truly believes women, and especially his wife, are just wired for loyalty. But one night, Alice decides to shatter that little fantasy with a huge dose of reality.
And boom, that's the moment. That's when Bill's perfectly curated world just cracks wide open. Alice tells him about this intense fantasy she had about a naval officer she just saw once on vacation. She admits she was ready to throw everything away, Bill, their daughter, their life, for a total stranger. For Bill, this isn't just a fantasy, it's a profound betrayal, and it sends him spiraling out into the New York night.
So, completely reeling from this, Bill just walks out. He wanders into the city, not knowing that he's about to step off the map of his own life and into a hidden, dangerous, and totally surreal underworld.
And really, that's the question that drives the whole movie, right? What do you do when your reality is completely shattered? Does he want revenge? Does he want to understand? Or does he just want to prove that he has a hidden side too? His journey becomes this deep, psychological dive into the abyss his wife's confession opened up.
You see, Bill's descent isn't one giant fall. It's more like a series of small, fateful steps. First, he just happens to run into an old friend, a pianist named Nick Nightingale. Nick lets it slip that he has this very weird, very hush-hush gig. Bill is hooked. He pushes for the details, gets a password, rents a mask and a costume, and follows the breadcrumbs to a massive, isolated mansion.
That password. It's the first test, right? The key that separates the regular world from this secret one is a single word, Fidelio. That's the first barrier he has to get past.
And once he's inside, it just gets stranger. Remember his friend Nick, the pianist? Well, he has to play the entire time completely blindfolded. He's providing the soundtrack for whatever is about to happen, but he's forbidden from ever actually seeing it.
And what he sees, well, it's something straight out of a bizarre dream. He walks into this grand room filled with masked, anonymous figures, all taking part in this silent, incredibly charged sexual ritual. It's both mesmerizing and absolutely terrifying.
And it doesn't take long for him to get noticed. A masked woman approaches him. She knows he doesn't belong here, and she tells him flat out, "You are in terrible danger. You need to leave, now." But of course, he doesn't listen, he stays, and sure enough, he gets caught. And he's unmasked by the leader of the whole ceremony. But just as he's about to face whatever punishment they have in store, that same woman who warned him steps in. She offers herself up as a sacrifice to save him. Bill gets thrown out, but her fate is now completely up in the air. Now, as crazy as all that on-screen drama is, what was happening behind the scenes was maybe even more intense. The making of this film became the stuff of legend, really a testament to Kubrick's famous all-consuming perfectionism. Yeah, you're seeing that right. 400 consecutive days. That's not a typo. The film holds the Guinness World Record for the longest continuous film shoot in history. Kubrick was just so meticulous, demanding whatever it took to get his final vision exactly right. Okay, so back to the story. Bill gets home from the mansion, but the nightmare he stepped into, it's not over. Not by a long shot. This is where the lines between what was real
and what might have been a dream start to get dangerously blurry.
The very next day, the paranoia just ramps up to 11. He finds out his friend Nick, the pianist, was basically dragged out of his hotel by a couple of menacing guys. Then he realizes he's being followed on the street. A note is slipped under his door, warning him off. And then he reads a news story that chills him to the bone. The woman who saved him, Mandy, has been found dead. The official cause? A drug overdose. Or was it?
And this is where things get really murky. Bill gets called to the home of a wealthy patient of his, Victor Ziegler, who admits that, yeah, he was at the party. And Ziegler tries to explain everything away. The threats? Just a prank to scare you. Nick? Oh, he's fine, they just put him on a plane home. Mandy's death? Just a tragic coincidence, a drug overdose. But none of it feels right. It doesn't line up with what Bill saw. Is this the ultimate cover-up, or is Bill just losing his mind?
And just when he might start to believe it was all in his head, he comes home. And there it is. On his pillow, right next to his sleeping wife, is the mask he wore to the party. The underworld has followed him home. It was real. All of it.
And that's it. That's the final straw. Seeing that mask just shatters his composure, and he completely breaks down. He confesses everything to Alice, the whole night of jealousy, fear, and paranoia. His terrifying journey out into the world ends right where it began, with her.
You know, for a film this strange and this challenging, you might think it would have been a commercial flop. But nope, it was a huge success, grossing over $162 million and becoming Kubrick's highest-grossing film ever. It also got a ton of critical respect, especially in Europe, where the legendary KS de Cinema magazine named it the best film of the year.
So after all of this, the confessions, the fear, the secret societies, they're out Christmas shopping, of all things. Alice turns to him and says there is something very important they need to do, as soon as possible. And when Bill asks what that is, she replies with the now famous, abrupt, and powerfully ambiguous final word of the film. So that one word is her very pragmatic, very raw suggestion for how they can even begin to move forward. But what about everything else? What did we just watch? Was Bill's bizarre journey an actual descent into a powerful, hidden society, or was it all just a paranoid projection of his own fear and jealousy? Kubrick gives us zero easy answers, leaving us to wonder what secrets are hiding just behind the masks that we all wear.